Hello, and welcome back to the Why I Create podcast. In a world that is constantly moving and changing, there are still people who are able and willing to create a space for us to slow down and relax. In this episode, I had the honor of interviewing one of those people. He lives and grew up in the UK and creates beautiful indie folk music. Introducing Rob Modus.
Hello, I'm Rob Modus. Between the hours of sort of 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. on weekends, I'm a singer-songwriter and producer. I live in Sheffield in England, and I live about a mile away from where I was brought up, so yeah, I'm a bit of a home bird. I'm joining you this morning from my very badly soundproofed studio. So if you can hear the cacophony of birds outside my window, then this is what I have to contend with every weekend when I'm trying to record music. So yeah, if you listen to any of my music and you hear birds in the background, I haven't been on Splice, I haven't downloaded sounds of birds. They are literally birds just outside my window doing my head in. But yeah, that's me. I'm sort of for a job. I'm a designer. I'm a graphic and web designer for a design agency over in Huddersfield, just over the hill. And yeah, I've been doing this, making music, since I was a teenager. But as for sort of writing my own stuff, writing my own stuff I've done for a long time as well. But recording and producing, this is something I've only just in the last sort of 3 or 4 years got into. Started in the pandemic, which is I'm sure where a lot of people's stories have started. So out of something horrendous, has come a lot of art, I suppose, which is good, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, that's me. What type of art do I create? It's a good question, but one inherently flawed, because, for me anyway, because I never really consider what I do as art. It's, like I say, it's something I've done for a long time, and I don't want to call it a hobby either, because it's more than just that. It is a passion. God, this sounds so cheesy. I know some artists, and I think this is something that does come across a lot in my writing. Actually, is a sense of imposter syndrome, I suppose. A sense of inadequacy. It's not intentional. I'm not really like that. It's just, I suppose it is art. I suppose what comes out at the end of it is art. It's just that I don't consider myself an artist. But yeah, the type. It's just indie folk nonsense, innit? I'm a folkie at heart. Grew up in folk clubs with my mum and dad from the age of like 11, 12. They'd take me along with them, and they kind of became my safe space because by 10 o'clock I'd be asleep on the bench. But it was just such a lovely sort of surrounding to be in. Bunch of middle-aged people just enjoying the evenings together, singing songs. And what's more lovely than that? What is the most rewarding thing that you've experienced because of what you do? Okay. I think for me, there's no sort of huge reward. It's a bunch of little rewards that keep me going. Yeah, just comments from people, the odd play on the radio, trawling over your stats from when you've released music and finding out, I don't know, there's just some random kid over in Jakarta who's absolutely vibing with one of your songs for some unknown reason. Just weird little things like that. But yeah, I suppose the most rewarding thing, I think it's just a sense of achievement after you've completed something, and once you've put it out there. And I've always told myself it doesn't matter how many people listen to it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get listened to at all. It's just having done something. I don't know, I think you go through your sort of 20s, early 30s, just working hard, and maybe not having too much to show for it at the end of it, except for a bit of money in the bank. Or for me, it's leaving something behind, I suppose. Leaving a footprint. How and when did you get involved in creating this art form? Well, yeah, like I say, I mentioned earlier, my mum and dad, huge influence on me. Yeah, the music that we listened to growing up, well, it wasn't all folk music, don't get me wrong. In fact, very little of it was. We had a jukebox, 1963 jukebox in the kitchen that had a whole range of music on there from my mum and dad's favourites, like 50s and 60s rock and roll. And then my sister would take over and remove half of the records and stick in sort of Stock Aitken and Waterman songs from the 80s. Kylie and Jason and Sanita and yeah, we had all sorts. We had Rick Astley on there, so we'd rickroll each other before it was even a thing. But yeah, how did I get involved in creating it? Yeah, I think when I was about 13 or 14, some of my friends at school expressed an interest in making some noise together, and I'd got my dad at home who got a couple of guitars, always playing them, and I'd never really picked one up. But yeah, when I heard this, that my mates were getting together and having a bit of a noise making session, I quickly went upstairs and asked my dad. I said, my mates are going up playing guitars and got a drummer up there. Can you quickly sort of show me a couple of chords? And he came downstairs and he went up into the loft and came back down and presented me with this electric guitar, which I had no idea that he'd got. Not a particularly, a Hondo 2, from what I remember, and it weighed an absolute ton. But to me, it looked like Slash's Les Paul, this thing that I never even knew it got. It just got squirreled away. First time I'd ever seen it. And yeah, plugged it in to this, again, ridiculously heavy amp. It's Carlsberg amp. And turned it on and he showed me 3 chords. He showed me A, D, and E. And we went up and just played Wild Thing for hours. And that was kind of where it all started for me. From there, we formed a band, wrote some songs, sang some, thrashed them out, and we were all right. We weren't too bad. We got a variety of influences in the band, we made some good noise together, and that's kind of where it started. But then went quiet for a bit. But I guess once I'd sort of learned how to play guitar, and I carried on asking my dad to teach me different things. The first Oasis album came out, and I got the book that went with it, the music book. So I just sat and learned every single song back to back. And that was me starting to learn how to play guitar properly. I say properly. You never really stop learning. Because this is the other thing. My dad's got a YouTube channel which he started when he was about 60, something like that. Teaching, guitar tutorials. Give him a little plug, as some of you may have come across him before. It's Loudon Jim. He teaches sort of fingerstyle and folk style guitar. And he's great. He's always been a huge influence on me. Massive. My mum as well. Because my mum didn't really start singing until a lot later on in life. But now she does. And she's out there. Just still doing it now. Singing with my dad. And it's just beautiful. What drives you to keep creating even when no one pays attention? Well, yeah, I mentioned the word earlier on, hobby. And I don't like using it because it feels like more than that, but I think there always has to be an element of hobby to it because it's the other thing that you do with your life. And if I didn't have this, I don't know what else I would do. Probably sit and play PlayStation as a sad middle-aged man. And that's not really what I want to do, is it? But yeah, it's just, it opened something up for me. Like I say, during the pandemic, everybody says they've got loads of time. I didn't have loads of time. I've got kids climbing all over me constantly. But I don't know. I did have space, and sitting down and learning how to do this just opened up a whole world for me. And the funny thing is, it's not the first time. Like I opened up GarageBand as when I got my first MacBook years and years and years ago. And I used to make beats, and I loved it. And I'd be sitting on the train on the way to work, putting together little loops and stuff, and absolutely loved doing that. But as for sort of sitting down and recording acoustic instruments and and my own vocals, and learning how to process them, and learning how to produce over the top of them and layer them up and that kind of thing. It just opens up such a world of creativity. But yeah, something to do, something to tinker on. And if no one's listening, then fine. I'll still get up. I'll still want to do something at 5 and 6 o'clock on a Saturday and Sunday morning, because it sets me up right for the rest of the week. I noticed that actually, if I take a bit of a break from it, it affects my mood. Now it's just something that I want to do, something that I enjoy doing. So yeah, that's it really. What is the thing you're most proud of? Musically, I think it was just getting over that first hurdle, getting my first song out there, making that transition from just singing a few, cover songs and stuff to stick out on Instagram, which is where I started, to actually releasing something that I'd written myself, put my own lyrics out there for the first time. The first song I released was a bit of a kind of a difficult one, because it's a very sensitive subject.
Away, and don't look back.
It's about something that happened when we were at school, and then managed to avoid a bit of a tragic event. And yeah, it's something that kind of stuck with me for a long time, and I wrote a song about that. And if you want to look that one up, that's Paul Brown, which is not his real name. Just get that out there.
Think of me. Think of all the ways I'll never be. I'll leave you just as all of you left me. Forgotten, cold.
That's Paul Brown. It was out on Spotify back in 2021, I believe. But yeah, I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. Who are some of your biggest musical influences, and what qualities do you admire about them? Okay. Biggest musical influences. First and foremost, it's the greats for me. It's Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and John Martin and Nick Drake. All those. I mean, Nick Drake in particular. This is going back a few years now, but I'd not heard of him, and my sister burnt a CD. So that's how long ago it is. And I stuck it on in the car, and it was just a CD with a Sharpie written on Nick Drake. I had no idea who this guy was. Sat and listened to some of his songs in the car on the way to and from work. I was working in Leeds at the time, so it was a nice long commute, an hour there and back. And I just fell in love with him, and I had no idea, what had happened to him. I didn't know if it was current, if it was old. I literally didn't know, and got home and eventually looked him up and heard about his tragic story. So weirdly, I kind of lived through that just in my own timescale, because obviously everybody else that's loved him in the past already knew this story. I didn't. So I kind of suffered from that. Finding somebody that I've absolutely... There you go, magpie. Yeah, somebody that I've absolutely fallen in love with, just to find out that they're no longer with us in such tragic circumstances. Awful, awful feeling. But, oh my God, that magpie. Biggest influence, definitely. Variety of alternate tunings, and doesn't some... I mean, he writes incredible lyrics, but he uses his voice as an instrument, it's like a pad almost, a lot of the time, and I don't know. I think that's probably my biggest influence. Is there any past experience that highly influences your art? Probably just, like I say, going back to it. I've tried to do other styles of music. I've tried to be a bit more sort of indie poppy kind of thing, but everything just keeps coming back to folk, as much as I try and fight it. But I think just the experience of spending literally sort of 2 or 3 nights a week, falling asleep in smoky folk clubs of Sheffield and Barnsley. It's obviously had a massive effect on me. Definitely influenced pretty much everything I do. Are you where you want to be, or is there a higher goal? I think I'm pretty much exactly where I want to be, to be honest. But I don't want to change in my life. I'm very, very happy where I am. I get messages every now and again. I got one last night inviting me to perform at at somebody's party. Somebody I don't know. They've heard about me through somebody else, and that's lovely. It's really kind of heartwarming to know that people have seen me somewhere else and are passing, trying to pass that experience on to somebody else. You asked earlier on what's the most rewarding thing. I guess that's one of them. I'm not a big one, to be fair, on live performing. I love sitting there and singing 3 or 4 songs, but if somebody tries to book me for a full set, I find it so stressful. I really do. I am where I want to be, and there is no higher goal. What do you hope listeners take away from your music? Everything I write, whether intentionally or not, it remains a bit ambiguous. I use quite a lot of metaphor, but I like to write stories, and I hope that when people hear them, they put their own slant on them. They maybe put their own, they take their own meaning from them. That's if they bother listening to lyrics at all. Cause I'm not the best at listening to lyrics. I think being a guitarist first and foremost, and being interested in the way a song is crafted and put together, I think you do tend to focus more on the instrumentation. But anyway, what do I hope listeners take away from your music? Just a sense of calm. I don't try and shake things up too much. I don't try and, I'm not here with some huge message. I'm here more as a kind of reminder for people to reflect every now and again, to be thankful for what they've got, to maybe dream a little bit and embrace that. So yeah, if I can influence people to do that, that's me done. I guess just to go back to like an earlier question, what was the thing you're most proud of? I recently finished my album, which I've only ever sort of released singles up until now, because it just takes me so long, but I decided last summer, I wrote a song and then immediately wrote another song, and they were they definitely had a similar sort of sound, and I thought then, should I put these out as 2 singles? Should I do a single and a B-side? And I decided, no, let's hold on to these and let's see how far I get. See if I can get an EP out of it, or maybe even see if I can get an album out of it. And I just kept going. I kept going through the rest of the summer, through the autumn, through the winter, and it's kind of nice because I think I probably the same as a lot of other people. They write different kinds of songs depending on the season, depending on which birds are outside shouting at me and ruining my recording. But yeah, I've ended up with an album of 10 songs. It's not long. It's half an hour long, something like that. And I've called it Before Breakfast because, there's no metaphor there, is there? I literally made it before breakfast every Saturday and Sunday for a year. That's out now. There's a couple of kind of lead singles on there, and then, which is probably one that I'm most proud of and most sort of Nick Drake-ish, I like to think. But yeah, a couple of nice storytelling ones on there. There's a song about my daughter. And then there's just a random one about boxing, which is a sport that I've got very little interest in whatsoever. But I was writing a song about, an entirely fabricated kind of argument between 2 people. And I used like boxing as the vehicle for telling that story. And I ended up quite proud of that. I wasn't going to put it on at first. I wasn't going to bother with putting it on the album. Thought this is just too out there and too weird, but and I don't know, it ended up working. So now that's the closing song on the album. Please go and take a listen. No one else is. Thank you. I'm going to close this out with a song by not Nick Drake, but Nick Drake's mum, who I don't think had particularly even had a music career. But she wrote a song which is just I don't know. For me, it is the perfect song. And like I said before, I don't listen to the lyrics too much, but this one, my word. Yeah, just listen to the lyrics. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, thank you. Thank you ever so much, David. I hope this is not too rambling and umming and ahhing. I hope you can understand me stupid Sheffield accent. I've tamed it a little bit. I don't sound quite so much like Alex Turner. But anyway, thank you once again. Bye-bye.
We tramped the open moorland in the rainy April weather, and came upon that little inn that we had found together. The landlord gave us toast and tea, and stopped to share a joke. And I remember firelight, I remember firelight, and I remember firelight, and you remember smoke. We ran about the meadow grass with all the harebells bending and shaking in the summer wind, that summer never ending. We wandered to the little stream among the river flats, and I remember willow trees, I remember willow trees, I remember willow trees, and you remember gnats. We strolled the Spanish marketplace at 90 in the shade, with all the fruit and vegetables so temptingly arrayed. And we can share a memory, as every lover must. And I remember oranges, I remember oranges, I remember oranges, and you remember dust. The autumn leaves are tumbling down, and winter's almost here. But through the spring and summertime, we laughed away the year. And now we can be grateful for the gift of memory, for I remember having fun, two happy hearts that beat as one, when I had thought that we were we, but we were you and me.
Wow, that was beautiful. Rob did a great job with that. It really sounds like it should be his song, to be honest. Because I am editing the episode, I have heard it many times, and it never gets old. I thoroughly enjoy it each time I hear it. The stories told by Rob are very inspiring and wholesome. This episode was amazing, and I am so glad you took the time to answer my questions. I know that you guys listening have heard him say it already, but go stream Rob Modus wherever you listen to music, and remember to check him out on Instagram. His new album, Before Breakfast, is out now, and I highly suggest going to stream it. To close, instead of having the normal theme music, I will be playing one of the tracks from his new album. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please follow and share the podcast. I would really appreciate it. This is the Why I Create podcast, and I'm your host, David Hay. This is Silence by Rob Modus.
While everybody's sleeping, while I'm not sleeping anymore, but I'm still dreaming, I'm still dreaming like before. 'Cause in my mind I'll be like silent Silence is my friend tonight. While all the world's on fire, and we get higher up this hill, and we're watching from this tower. We'll be alright if we're together. 'Cause in my mind I'll be like, silence is my friend tonight. And while you're dancing in my daydreams, and I'm sunbathing and getting red, we could go out, we could watch something in bed. 'Cause in my mind I'll be like, silence is my friend tonight. But all the songs that take us to beautiful places we'll sing tonight. And while everybody's sleeping, well, I'm not sleeping anymore. But I'm still dreaming, I'm still dreaming like before. Yeah, I'm still dreaming, I'm still dreaming like